Hey,
Hey,
how you doing? What's been
I'm
going on?
good. I'm good. It feels like it's been so long. It's
Yes,
been a long
and
time.
it's been
What's
7 days, and yet this week was deep. It was like saturated with content.
this week's content?
I mean, like life content.
It's look. How do I even begin? Yeah, it's been a deep week. How have you been? How have you been?
I have been good. Yeah, just it's we're getting to the end of the year, and so much is coming to an end slash about to begin, be born, life cycles, all of that. So I'm really feeling that this week.
Yeah, there's gonna be. I feel like there's a lot of newness, right? That's about to emerge, if you will. That's about to
Mm-hmm.
be born. A lot of newness to be new and renewed.
Yeah.
Um, I'm glad that everything is well. I heard about the earthquakes out in California. Um,
Yes.
all
That
is
was
well,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, I'm in Los Angeles, so we weren't immediately impacted by that and the tsunami, but it's so scary. And us in California are always talking about the big one coming at some point. And yeah, it's just a reminder to not take a day for granted, or the things that you have around you for granted. So
For sure, for sure,
sending love to anybody who has been affected by that that's tuning in.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so I keep I got a lot of feedback from last week, and a lot of folks were like, "Hey, these little talks that we've been having. If you guys are new and you've never tuned in before, my name is Leticia. This is Nikki, and you know we have weekly, sometimes 3 times a week talks where we discover feelings, and Nikki's been helping me to get through a lot as far as the body work and really being present, um, and working through stress, and a lot of like the exercises, especially with sitting so focused at work, on my schooling, and trying to get through, learning how to code and all that kind of good stuff. And sometimes you lose yourself, right? Especially when you're so focused at the chair. Um, and so, what we've been working on is being present, being very mindful of what you're doing. Um, and on the same token, renewing yourself, caring for oneself, and broadening you. So yeah, that whole renewal part, um, and finding balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that you can be able to, yeah, give 100% in your life, in and out of what you're doing, as well as that other side, which is you being you. So I really want to just, I want to thank you for helping me to do that, as well as let everyone know the reason why the reason why we actually decided to do this, and like share with other people, because Nikki was like, "You have you told anybody that you're doing this?" I was like, "No, not really." And then she's like, "What do you think?" And I said, "You know what? It would be really cool if we did share this with other people."
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And I
very
know we
helpful.
all need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, super super helpful. So what is it that we want to explore today, Nikki? Because we were talking about it a little bit earlier. um, we were talking about balance,
Yeah.
and how we wanted to kind of navigate, like, especially right now with the holidays and being mindful of what we're doing in our space and protecting one's peace and all of that kind of good stuff. So, yeah, what did you want to talk about today with that?
So, to start off the conversation about balance, I just invite anyone who's tuned in to, and then you, to just imagine a level surface and you standing on that, or something being positioned on it.
Mm.
And then use your imagination to imagine that thing tipping the surface, and then the thing that's on it moving in that direction. So many times I feel like in our lives, the level surface isn't really that level. We kind of build our stability on things that are changing constantly, like our circumstances, other people's opinions, expectations of us, our mood, our whatever it is. And it's constantly doing this. And so we can very easily get knocked off of center. And so what is center? And one of the things that really no one can disagree with, there's very few things in life that people can agree on, but no one can disagree about the fact that the center point, the still point of your existence in this moment is that you're breathing, is the anchor of the breath. And so bringing attention to your breath, and I know for a lot of people, if you're new to like breath work or new to paying attention, it sounds so corny, like center yourself in the moment. And I get it, because some of that can be corny, but there is something so powerful about taking charge of your nervous system yourself, and taking charge, not like in a dictatorial way, but more like a caregiver. Like, I am responsible for me. I'm responsible for you, Nikki. And deciding to give your system what it needs to find that balance more. And on this, I just want to circle back to something else that you said in introducing this idea, which was the idea of renewal. And I might have even said this the last time that we talked, but so many times we think that we have to wait until the next day to like start again, or wait for those circumstances to clear away to start again. And sometimes things are like that. You need a night to sleep on something, or you know, healing takes time, that sort of thing. However, there are shifts and changes that we can make in an instant that are really low lift. They don't cost any money. You just need you and yourself to shift yourself back into a place where you are feeling a little bit more balanced. Another image I want to offer about balance. And, when we think about balance, we think of all things being equal and maybe clear. But that is only one definition of balance. To balance might mean negotiating these things. So you're not just steady. Balancing is it's a movement. And so the thing I like to offer about this is, if you imagine point A and you're trying to get to point B, and let's say you're a plane or something, and you have the device in the plane, I think it's called a gyroscope, that can tell you instantaneously when you are off course. So there's point A and point B, and what you see when you look at maps of planes moving towards targets or towards destinations is that, so let's say this is the path, they're like this the whole time. And most of the time, they're not on course. But the thing that makes them get to their destination is that they return to center. They have this, whatever that instrument is called, I'm blanking on, gyroscope or gyrometer? Doesn't matter.
I'm sure that the aeronautical crowd will chime in.
Yes, please
Don't you worry.
Please do. But there is along the way, you're continuously returning back to that center. If
Yeah.
the plane, here's point A, there's point B. If it got off course and it was like, well, I'm just off course, that's what's gonna happen now.
Right.
No one would ever get anywhere. And so
Right.
there's that continuous returning back again in an instant. And the charge you can take over it is all day. Like earlier today, I had a conversation that kind of like knocked me
Mhm.
off a little bit. And the choice is mine. It's not on anybody else. What I'm going to do to return myself back to center. So I'm not saying we don't feel our feelings. We do. We feel the feelings. That is so important. But then
Mhm.
we take charge of how do I get back to my center? How do I get back to what I believe is the steady truth of who I am? And again, the simplest way to do that, even if you don't have if everything's not going well or right, get back to your breath. And just last thing I'll say before we start to dive into something, just the simple act of bringing conscious awareness to your breath
Mhm.
starts to calm your parasympathetic nervous system down. Should I define that system, or should I assume people know what I mean by that?
You can define,
Okay. So in
just
your
in
nervous,
case someone doesn't know.
yeah, and I'll do a very basic explanation of it, but in your nervous system, you've got your sympathetic nervous system, which is coming online, and we need it. It's helpful to help us protect ourselves, defend in an attack, have energy to go after something. And so, of course, you hear fight or flight often associated with that.
Mhm.
And then we've got this other system, parasympathetic. So it comes alongside it to balance that. And so in the original, most natural state of the world, let's say predator and prey, the prey senses that it's being chased or whatever, and decides how it's going to navigate that. Once they get to a point of safety, then this other system takes over: rest, digestion, all of the processes that were slowed down or inhibited by that stress response, they get started up again. So digestion comes back to a normal place of stability. Lots of other things. So just I'm trying to give a brief explanation of it. And the challenge is, and anyone who's done mindfulness work for a while will know this, but maybe this is new for some people. Our challenge of our modern world is that, first of all, our brains can't distinguish between the lion and the text from your boss, or
Right.
they're all interpreted as threats. And
Mhm.
so, and it's not just that. So you go from the threat of, okay, I'm late from work, oh, it's this, it's that. We have all of these things around us. And so if we aren't careful, we can live our lives in that sympathetic state of fight, flight, and freezing, of panic, and never get back to the parasympathetic response unless substances are involved, or unless, if we're not careful, or something like that. But we can take charge of it. And again, once we bring conscious awareness to the breath, cortisol levels start to lower. And
Mhm.
cortisol is that stress hormone that rises when we're in that sympathetic state. And so, in this idea of like wellness for people who are doing tech and like sitting at their computers all day, obviously there is no lion there.
Right. Right.
Um, but sometimes we can accidentally send cues to our nervous system that we're in a sympathetic response. So again, it's not, we might already be in a sympathetic response because of external stressors, but then with
Mhm.
our posture, we reinforce that message. If your body is like, oh, I'm stuck in this position, all the postural muscles are closing in on each other, the eyes are narrowing in focus, something must be wrong. Like there must be something not great going on. And then once you finally get up, it's like, oh, my back hurts, oh, my head hurts, or whatever those things are. And it's because we were letting ourselves believe the posture, like what the posture suggests. Does that make sense? Like,
Oh yeah, for sure. Like you've been sitting like this all day or something, and
mhm.
then the doorbell rings, the dog starts singing the song of its people, and then you're like, oh, let me get the door. And then it's all of a sudden this big surprise to your body, and then you're like, oh my hip or whatever, and then you're getting
Exactly.
up, and then you're running downstairs trying to get the door, and because you don't want the package thieves to get the package, or whatever the case may be. So you got that, and then you have to go, and don't get me started. But
Yeah,
yeah,
there.
I
I mean, and
totally
it's
get that. And or it could be a myriad of other things.
yeah,
You have a deadline, and let me get this done, or oh, I have all these tickets I have to close, let me go ahead and close that, or
mhm.
I have to do this training really quick because if I don't, it's going to get taken away, or
Not to
whatever the
mention
case.
career pressures,
Yeah.
the pressure of trying to advance, trying to change your circumstance, all of that. And then, of course, everyone has a past. Everyone has a
Yeah.
family. There's all other kinds of things that are, while you're sitting there trying to work away, bing, 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 that's all happening there. And I love the example that you gave of you're working and then the doorbell rings and it's like, and you snap out of it because it illustrates this other aspect that I think we're really missing from our modern lives, which is transition. Um,
Mm,
and like, especially if you're working from home, you can, there's no boundaries. Like, there's no transition. You leave from this stress, and now that stress is in your home, in your room, and it's pouring out to the next thing. And really, even if you could just hear that doorbell before you get up from your seat, clear that out.
clear it out.
Yeah. And then go about your next thing. Even that could serve your nervous system so much more. And it's this, people who commute on the train or in vehicles or whatever, sometimes that car ride home is that transition point. Like, okay, I have some time to decompress while I'm sitting in traffic. And then also sometimes the traffic is the stressor. But,
Yeah.
creating those moments of transition is actually something we can do all day long, coming back to center. And so the plan for today was to give some tools and lead us through like a short little practice of what we can do when we're talking about balance.
Hmm.
Is that cool?
It's cool.
It's cool. Okay.
Because I'm all about the whole clearing it out thing. You know how much I love that.
Yes.
Almost as much as touch. But
Yeah.
I like the clearing it out because it again, for not to be punny, but for the balance and to level set,
Hmm.
balance, level set. See what I did there? Haha. I'll get a
Yeah.
lot of DMs on that one. But yeah, to just make everything kind of level again, you have to clear it all out in
Yes.
one way, shape, or form. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, so if it's the doorbell for you, and then the breath, then that's what one has to do. But go ahead,
Tish,
keep it.
actually, can I share one more thing before we go into the
Yeah,
practice?
of
Okay,
course.
it's a little bit of another way to explain the whole amygdala thing I was talking about and sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system. But
Mm.
you saying level out reminded me of it, and it's a really powerful way to think about it. But it's this idea of the threat bucket. Have you
Oh,
heard of this?
yes.
Okay. So the threat bucket, I love thinking about this. And so I always imagine with my students, I use a little character, but for some reason I imagine a little frog inside my brain. but that's just my brain. It might be a little version of you, but there's this little like cute little frog that is checking out every little bit of stimulus that comes into my field and determining if it's a threat or not. And its job is high energy. If you hear here in Los Angeles, there is fireworks just year round for some reason. But also it's Los Angeles, and so sometimes you hear that bop, 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 and you're like, what is it? Yeah, what we're hearing. And so I think of this little part of my brain being like, what is it? Oh, okay,
Right.
it's fireworks. Threat averted, crisis averted. So I also use this to represent my little threat bucket. So it is when it perceives a threat, it gets tossed into here. Boop, boop, boop. And so I had a terrible thought about aging. Threat bucket. I don't know how I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z. Threat bucket. You know, all the things that we talked about. Threat bucket, threat bucket, threat bucket. And so the thing that I want you to think about with the threat bucket is that it always has some amount of, like, let's imagine it's water. It always has some level in there because you need a basic amount of stress to just be alive. Like you're
like protection, right?
Here. Yeah. And so there's always going to be some level. But let's say, for instance, you a friend of mine did this. No, I'm kidding. It was me. But I had a very stressful day, and I've done this multiple times, so no judgment. But I had a very stressful day, and I was like, I just want some pizza. And I got a pizza from a place and proceeded to complete that whole pizza. And no judgment. But also, and I needed that. It was a nourishing treat. But also, there is, that can be dehydrating. That can, that's doing all kinds of things to my system and sending a message of like, are we good? Are you good, girl?
And we don't do that often.
Yeah. And so let's say I wake up in the morning and I'm all puffy and I feel, terrible. And the levels are up to here.
Yeah.
Because of that last night. Or let's say I just even stayed up all night. When I wake up, the levels are already up here.
Yeah.
What a lot of people do, myself included, is when the levels are up here, it's like, just like I said with the pilot, well, we might as well just keep on going into this overflow. And when this overflows, that is a panic attack. That is a breakdown. That's a big stress response.
Right.
And so a lot of us are just like, yeah, let's pile it on. I'm going to have 5 cups of coffee and sit in the darkness all day or something like that.
Right.
And so now I'm up at these levels. And then our family comes home or your kid says something to you and it's like, and they get the brunt of that stress. So I say that all to say, when I wake up after eating that whole pizza the night before, I have choices all day long to make a different decision. And that different decision, let's say I wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm so dehydrated. And I grab my water. Think of that as bailing out some of the level here. We've let it out. So now it's gone down a little bit. Okay. And then now I am, as I'm starting to answer emails, it's rising back up. But before I proceed from the emails, I take a few breaths and now I'm here. And then, this is happening all day. And so I say that to empower us to pay attention and feel in charge of what is happening.
It sounds like, because we've talked about this before, right? Like, are you managing it? Are you learning how to manage and supervise that feeling without pressuring the feeling, but allowing the feeling to be there, but at the same time managing it so that, the feeling is there, it's going to be okay, we're going to take our breaths, we're going to clear that out, and then we're going to continue with the next thing. Because at the end of the day, like you said, by the time the family gets home, or by the time you go home to the family, or the cat or the dog or whatever your situation
Mhm.
is, you don't want to be overflowed, or you don't want to overflow on, you know, whoever or whatever you're going to go home to. You
Mhm.
want to have, you want to be able to manage that. I really appreciate that piece, clearing it out, being more level with your feeling with yourself. And I think that goes into the another thing that you were talking about the other day, which was kindness. Are you kind to yourself?
Mhm.
And and if you are kind to yourself, you will automatically be kind to others. And that kindness and the balance thing really resonates with me. So I can kind of see how the two play a really big part in your day to day. I will
Yeah.
continue. I'll just continue talking. But go ahead, Nikki. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. That's great. I love the convo aspect of it.
Yeah,
Um,
it's really connecting to me. 'Cause I'm just like, yeah, yeah. Because if you're kind, like, oh, I apologize, and then you kind of see it, and you're just like, oh, and the person's like, you know what? It's not really a big deal.
mhm.
Thank you. And
Oh,
you
and
know what? And all of it's cleared out. You know.
that's the other thing, and this maybe is woo a little bit, but it's also managing yourself is a contribution to the world because
Say it again for the people in the back.
yeah, managing yourself is a contribution to the world because if you are entering your day-to-day life from a
Hmm.
place of reactivity, then now boom, you're causing that in this one. And then that person goes, it sits in their car and is like, what are you doing with the music? And then the kid that was in the back seat is witnessing that. And you know, it really is like that. We're all impacting each other. So it does matter if I can manage my nervous system and it helps me be 10% kinder, then I will be that much more kind to the people that I'm interacting with. And it has that ripple effect.
Hmm.
But even if you don't care about anybody else, and I think when you do love yourself, you do. When you're kind to yourself, you do. But even if you didn't care about anybody else, understand that, or even if you didn't have anyone else around, when this overflows, you're gonna direct that unkindness to yourself. And whether it's through just continuing to make choices that keep the levels up to here. Oh,
Yep.
and isn't it funny that people say, I've had it up to here? That, yeah, that,
Yep.
you're, let's bring that down. Yeah, but
Yep.
even when you're up to here, when it's just you can think of, oh, I don't want to be this way to myself. I want to help. And maybe I don't have the willpower to do something crazy like not eat pizza or um not that that's crazy,
We
but
love pizza.
yeah, it's my favorite food. But or maybe I don't need to change everything. There's a hierarchy of emotions where and I'm forgetting whose idea this is, but the whole thing of it is instead of trying to go from let's say despair is at the bottom of this hierarchy and then utter bliss is at the top. If you're in despair, we're not trying to move from despair to utter bliss. It's actually too much stress for the system to manage to make that big of a leap. What you
Right.
want to try to do is like maybe right here in the middle is annoyed. And so if you can shift from despair to annoyed, then you're starting to have a kind of a different relationship with your feelings and what you think is possible. And then maybe once you're at annoyed, you're like, I don't want to be at annoyed either. And so it's like maybe you can switch to some, other
Yeah.
emotion. So that's another important part of this because in a minute we're going to do some small exercises that are going to take us just a few minutes. It's not about now I'm in utter peace and bliss and everything is well. And I just
Good.
got $1 million in the mail. No, that,
In the
that's
mail is wild.
that would be amazing. And if anyone gets $1 million after this, please tip.
Yeah.
Um,
And your waitresses.
yes. No, but yeah, it's not that everything gets made okay. It's just
Yeah.
that you are better able to manage what is in front of you right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And managing what's in front of you, like what we've discussed. So if I can manage what's in front of me right now, and if I can do what's best for me right now, then I can handle the next thing, and I can handle the next thing, and probably do it even better than the task that's at hand, because I'm able to manage myself. I can manage the task, and having those coping mechanisms and those tools has made things just even better, and I can help other people. And as you know, I'm one of those helper types. And so that's a big deal to me. I think that these tools are going to be for myself and for anyone that's watching, um, and especially in the future. I think that these tools are super helpful, and folks are just catch on. Here we go. I'm ready. I'm ready, Niki.
So just bring a slightly more awareness to your seat. So I know you're seated, but can you get comfortable? Can you land a little bit more in your seat? And if it feels comfortable, close your eyes. And if not, you can just bring your gaze downward. And word to the wise, even just closing your eyes for a moment in your day, I might have said this last Saturday actually, but causes a shift and prompts delta waves in your brain. So even if you can just do that, that might be enough to shift your state. But we're going to go a little bit further with your eyes closed or downcast. Take a beat in silence just for a moment. And allow your senses to come online. So what do you hear in the space around you? What's the temperature of the room you're in? What do you smell as you take an inhale? And that brief moment of letting your senses come online, again, contributes to your parasympathetic response. You're not judging any of the sounds around you. You're not trying to change anything. You're not going to the place of, oh, this is wrong. I'm wearing the wrong shirt. The AC is wrong. You're just allowing those things to stand by a moment. And you're just being with what is. The next time that you're empty of breath, you're just going to pause with relatively empty lungs, close your mouth, and then through your nose, take a slow inhalation. And then you're going to exhale on the sound of SH. Good. And again, you'll inhale through the nose. One last time, inhale, feel the belly expanding. And SH, relax your shoulders as you SH. Inhale. And this time when you exhale, you're going to blink your eyes open, but kind of keep a soft focus. So you're not totally coming back into the screen, into the room. You're just gently in your space. You're still with yourself. You're going to reach your arms out to the sides and up as you inhale. Good. And then the same thing as you exhale. Yeah, see if you can lower your arms at the speed of the emptying of your lungs. Inhale, reach up. Good. One more. Inhale. And clear it out. Good. And even just with that, you might have sensed just a shift from that. Things have calmed down a little bit. We're going to stay with that. We're going to stay with the conscious breathing. So that's paying attention to the flow of your breath as we do really simply the 6 movements of the spine. So this is something you can do multiple times a day, just acknowledging the spine that's holding you up and that is housing most of your nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do these 6 movements. So the first of the movements, you'll bring your hands onto either your thighs or onto the table that's in front of you or the desk or whatever it is. And so I'm going to have my hands on my thighs. I'm going to press my hands slightly down into my thighs, lift my heart, open up the space of the belly, and just take a little back bend here. So with the back
Okay.
bend, there's a contraction in the back body, but the front body is open. That's your
Mm-hmm.
inhale. And then as you exhale, you're going to do the exact opposite. You're going to round forward, let your shoulders shrug up, your navel's moving back towards your spine, and you're finding that roundness in the back, that hollowness in the front. And then we'll do that again just a few times, a few rounds. So when you're ready, you inhale and exhale, round. Yeah, good. Inhale, open the space in the front of the body. And exhale, round. Good. One more time. Inhale. And then exhale, round. Good. Inhale, come back up to a neutral spine. So that is extension and flexion of the spine. We're now going to do some lateral movement. And this
Did
is.
you hear my back again?
Oh, I did it.
Sorry.
Yes.
Keep going.
That's the release happening. So that was 1 and 2. 3 and 4 are both sides of lateral movement. So there's a few ways we can do this. If you've got arms on your chair, you can lean on the arm. We're going to start first with opening the right side of the body. So you're going to reach your right hand up and imagine your fingers are shooting up out of the side body, so out of your waist. You'll inhale, stretch up and over, and then exhale. Either you're just letting yourself gently lean onto that armrest, or if you want to go deeper, you can bring your hand down to your seat. Or if you're like, I want a little core activity while I do this, you'll sweep that opposite arm over so that you're holding yourself up with your body. And we'll do that a few times. So it'll go inhale, open.
I'm just going to do the armrest of my chair.
Perfect. And then you're going to exhale. So you think of length here and then less length.
Okay.
Length. And then as you exhale, you'll come back over. So it's a wave. So inhale. And exhale, come back up. Good. Let's do another inhale, sweep it over. Keep your neck long, keep your jaw relaxed. Good. Exhale, come back up and over. And then one more time. Inhale, reach up and over. This time you're going to stay a little bit in that side bend. And imagine like those little things you put your fingers in, you stretch it out and you can hear. Imagine that happening on your side body. As more space is invited in, you can even, if you want, just touch onto that right lung, give it a pat. And then the next time you exhale, you'll use that exhale, use your pelvic floor muscles to come back up. Good. You can roll that right shoulder forward, up, down, and back. Good. Now we're going to do the other side. It's the same thing. Left arm sweeps up on the inhale. And then exhale, you'll bring it back. Good. Inhale up and over. Exhale. Come back. Just do one more of these. Inhale up and over. This time we're going to stay. Good. And don't let yourself collapse over. Keep spinning your heart up so that expansion's happening there. Good. And it's expansion from your waist all the way through your fingertips. Good. And then inhale, come back up. Good. Roll the shoulder.
That really does help.
What was that?
I said it really does help.
Yeah.
Especially that little tender piece in your right above your hip where your back meets.
Yes. Especially there. We're going to actually maybe get at that a little bit more with the 5th and 6th movement of the spine. So the 5th and 6th movement of the spine is a twist in both directions. So now there are super deep twists that you can find and stay in. And then there's also not as deep that are still as effective. So our first twist is going to be towards the right. You're going to bring your left shoulder to the right side of your space. Mm-hmm. Some people might want to use their grip and help themselves spin around. Others might just bring this left hand to their right leg. Put your hand on your belly. Mm-hmm. And if you can like skin to skin, that's great. And you're going to help your belly come along for the twist. So you're helping yourself revolve. And then maybe once you get into the twist, your chin moves a little bit further. So any kind of twist, I'll let you move into the twist that feels good for you. We're going to take 3 breath cycles in this twist. So
okay. I'm gonna try.
And again, your twist might not look like another person's twist. Don't worry about them. Three conscious breaths. I won't even cue you in them.
Okay. Hold on.
You okay? There you are.
Here I am. I accidentally hit it with my foot.
Oh. Perfect.
I'm back.
You're back. Okay. And so now you're already doing the other side of the twist. That's good.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
I was getting into it.
You can get right back into it. That's the whole thing.
All right.
Right back into the stream of just your breath. With your inhales in this position, you're thinking of growing your spine longer and taller. And with your exhales, you're thinking of twisting maybe a little bit deeper around the space you created on the inhale. Yeah, good.
It's a lot. Especially when you're not used to moving in such a way.
Yeah.
It feels. Is it okay if I express how I feel?
Of course. Yes,
so it feels like, okay, so it's not like a real twist like it hurts, but it is definitely a sensation, right? Because you're not used to moving your body in such a way. And when you're sitting in a certain position all the time, you do feel it is a tense feeling. I know when I used to stand up and cut hair all day, when I was so many years younger, we would always be like, oh, okay, you got to get on that fatigue mat. Make sure you're wearing proper shoes so that you're not, hurting. But then the moment that you sit down, your body will just completely tighten up because you've been standing in that same position the entire day.
Yes.
I wish that I knew, right? Like you always know, hey, you better move around. But I wish I would have known to move your body in certain positions, have a source of breathing, and really take that into practice and consideration, because I would be in a much better position than what I am right now, with movement and where I am in my body journey.
Mhm.
This
But
is some really good tools, and it's never too late to start, right?
exactly,
That's
that's
something
what I was
that
gonna say.
you've been trying to help me to appreciate.
And the other thing I want you to appreciate about these 6 movements of the spine is
Mm-hmm.
that you are doing them in some way to get through your day. So even like when you reached over to fix the cable or whatever got knocked out, you're in some lateral extension and your heart was open. So you're doing that. You might twist to be like, hey, come in here or whatever.
Yeah.
And so those movements are happening, but we can injure ourselves when they're happening without awareness and without warming up. So
Right.
at one moment you go, oh, and it's like I wasn't ready to twist like that, and now
Right.
there's pain, and now there's a new thing. But it's just that simple act of like, okay, I'm gonna consciously move into this. I'm gonna inhale into it and just stay there and stay with what happens while I'm there, and then
Mm-hmm.
release it. And honestly, if you really want a pro tip, so I do pomodoros for productivity. Do you know what a pomodoro is?
No, explain.
Okay, so this is for you neurodivergent types out there, ADHD and whatnot. Yeah, but a pomodoro is a productivity. So a pomodoro is tomato,
Yeah.
um, and it is, you can set a timer for 25 minutes of focused work and then a 5-minute break. And so for sometimes if I'm like, I have 2 hours to write this essay or 2 hours to do something, it's really hard for me to get started because it's like 2 hours, whatever. we
Right.
all we all know that procrastination thing.
For
um,
sure.
but if you can break it down into just, okay, just for 25 minutes I'm going to sit right here and I'm going to give myself a break from this discipline in 25 minutes, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do it for 5 minutes. I do that in my work day, and it doesn't have to be 25 minutes. You can make it what you want it to be, but that's kind of the attention span. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I kind of need to switch things up, especially if I'm doing a spreadsheet or working with numbers or something. And
Mm-hmm.
so in that 5-minute break, or I set a time, if I'm not doing a Pomodoro, I set a timer for once an hour. I'm going to make sure that I do the 6 movements of the spine. And no one needs to even know that you're doing a thing. It's just kind of like, you're just doing it, but consciously with your breath. And it's like acknowledging, okay, wow, thanks, spine, you're really helping me stay upright today.
Mm-hmm.
um, and then of course the other thing is, in that 5 minutes, I always allow my hip flexors to stretch. So I just get up and walk. And in my office with my colleagues, they'll just see me pace from one end of the office to the other a couple times. And my productivity and the quality of my work is great because I'm taking care of me. I'm not letting the
Right.
work like bog me down. I'm in
Right.
charge of the work, and that's kind of the attitude. So the Pomodoro, there's apps that you can download. The one I use is called Focused Work. And it sends you little cutesy reminders like, hey there, you better focus, like just little
Yeah.
things during your 25 minutes. But I use that 5-minute break to connect with my body. And you'll be surprised, because when these stress levels get so high, your creativity gets impeded. And so you might have a problem that you're working on or trying to figure out, or even if it's something like, I don't know how to answer this email. Like, I can't come up with a response. If you walk away or go outside or pet your dog for 5 minutes while you're sitting there in this altered state or in a different state, you will be like, oh, I know how I can say that. Then when you come back to work, it's there. Like, have you experienced that where you stepped away?
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Like you have to have a change of scenery.
Yes.
You got to look at something different.
100%.
Just just so you can be able to kind of you have to do what's right for you so that you can be able to recharge.
Mm-hmm.
You got to recharge. Wow,
Yeah.
Niki. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
100%. What's up?
I wanted to do one quick touch thing.
Yes. I'm down for the touch thing. You know how much I love the touch thing.
Do you have your oil handy?
I do have some oil handy.
Okay.
Handy.
Handily.
Yeah.
That's your Zents.
That's my Zents. You know how I feel about my Zents.
Mm-hmm.
What's up?
So just generate some warmth in your hands with the oils. And if you watched last week, you learned there's so many benefits to touch and self-touch that we could also be reaping the benefits of all day long. And to help us, you're going to bring your non-dominant hand to the back of your neck, like so. So just under the hairline. And then you're going to bring your other hand to your forehead. And then you'll just create a real sense with the strength of your forearms and your hands that you're holding your head. And just breathe into the shoulders, the elbows, the forearms. Good. And then you're going to use the back hand on your occipital ridge and just start to grab at, for lack of a better term, the skin and the muscles on the back of your head. So a little massage there. Good. And then you're going to switch the position of your hand. So now your dominant hand will go to the occipital ridge and your other hand will come to your forehead. And again, you're going to breathe now into this orientation. And all this shoulder, elbow, hand stuff is great for your social nervous system, which is what is online when we're sitting at our computers all day. Breathe into this space. And then you can start to massage.
I'm already ahead of you.
Yeah. And usually there's something there that wants to be addressed. Good. And then you're going to relax from that for now. You can go back to it. You're going to make a fist with your hand. You can choose one or you can do both. But you're going to imagine the tissue or the fascia on your forehead, which, if you didn't know, fans out like this onto your temples. But you're going to imagine you're kind of like plucking those fibers like this. So I'm knocking my knuckles back and forth on my forehead into the brows, and try to keep your jaw relaxed as you do. You might even go into the hairline if you want. And last moment here, you might switch hands so that you feel balance on both sides. And then the very last thing, you're going to bring your thumbs right onto your temples, or rather, let's say the space above your ears for today.
Okay.
So yeah, right about there. Inward pressure with them, and then small little tiny circles there. And you might be near a point of like where there's some tension. Find that and you can move towards it. Ooh. Good. And so now I've sent the signal to myself that like I'm caring for you, I'm here, I'm with you, like I'm going to be listening. And that sets you up for goodness. And smell.
I know. I'm like, I got my Zents everywhere.
Yes.
But then again, I mean, why not? You can put it everywhere. I
It's
like the cashmere
non-comedogenic.
oil. Yeah, it's really hygienic, and you can snap
And now you're
easy,
glowing.
and now you glowing.
Hmm.
So yeah,
So
Nikki, this is good. I feel good. I know that we've been on for a while, and you know what we said last time? We said we weren't going to be on for a long time, but it's so important, right? Like
yeah, and maybe we just
it had to be said.
yeah.
Stuff has to be said, and we had to talk about it because there's a lot during these times, and folks need to know it's okay. You can be balanced, protect your peace. And there's so many tools that one can use to continue the movement within yourself and to be appreciative of the body that you have
Hmm.
and to take all of what's out here in and still smile, and share yourself with others and others share with you. So it's really cool. I appreciate you for that. So we learned about balance, protecting your peace. I had it written down. Um, the breaths, stretching, and clearing out space and leveling. That's 6 things. That's a lot. Is there
Plus the 6 movements of the spine.
the 6 movements of the spine? Hold on. Gotta write that down.
Mhm.
Is there anything else that you want to share before we close up that we
Um,
can take with us in the interim until we get to meet again?
Let me drop in to feel. I would just encourage people, you, me, all of us, not to get in the way of our peace,
Mm,
but to make way for our peace. And
mm,
so, and that maybe that was corny, but I really mean it. Sometimes we can do things to get in the way of our peace. Like, I mean, how many times have I just gotten home and just been like, I need to veg out, and I just like sit there on my TikTok waiting for that dopamine release, or whatever it is. And I don't have any problem with social media. I love it. It's great. I'm glad it exists. And there comes a point where maybe it's not actually contributing to my peace in that moment. And for
mm,
me to just sit there on it, I'm kind of sometimes saying, oh, well, I deserve the not peace right now.
mm,
And what power it is to just be like, no, I'm in charge of me. Put the phone down and be like, I'm just going to take 5 breaths. Maybe I'll pick up my phone again after it. But oftentimes you don't, because we've opened up a new pathway in our
yeah.
brain. It's like, oh, maybe I should fold that laundry.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should go to bed, or maybe whatever it is. And so just create those pathways to your peace. Don't get in the way. Don't willingly participate in getting in the way of that.
Mm, mm-hmm.
So I think maybe I'll tag in the comments or whatever. I'll figure out what the timestamp is of the practices,
Okay.
in case people are like, just give me the practices, lady.
Do I have to come out to the studio just to get the practices? No. You can be like me and just get them through the net, because that's how I do. I schedule my time and I get my practices. So, and then the last thing, I guess, I like what you said about don't be standing in the way of your peace. So I think what I'm hearing is, and just to be clear, do I, instead of saying, okay, I'm going to clear myself out, I'm just going to jump online, I'm going to scroll, because that doom scroll will get you every single time. And sometimes that is not what you need. Sometimes you need to get you some rest. Or sometimes, why don't you read that book you've been threatening that you were going to read? Or sometimes, why don't you go outside and look at the stars? Or wake up early and go see the sunrise? You know how wonderful it is to go watch a sunrise? Have you ever watched a sun? Let me tell you something. I was out in Vegas a couple of months ago, or a couple of weeks ago, in October for IBM Tech Exchange. The sunrise from the 50-something floor at the Mandalay Bay is chef's kiss.
Wow, that's a lucky view.
And that's a lucky view. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And just to wake up early enough to see it is a blessing in itself, right? Yes. But to wake up is a blessing. But let me just say, to be able to do that, number one. Number two, to know that you don't want the stress. And you need to know that, okay, am I going to wake up and just go straight to Facebook? Or am I going to wake up and go straight to LinkedIn? Am I going to wake up and go, okay, I got to get right to the gym. I got to get right to whatever that task is. Or am I going to take the time for myself? I'm going to watch the sunrise. Or me and my dog, or my dog and I, we're going to go out and I'm going to walk my dog and I'm going to watch him chase the butterflies this morning, or whatever the case may be. I love how you're saying, do not stand in the way of your own peace.
Yeah.
I love that.
On that sunset piece, if you live to be 80 years old, and let's say we're counting from when you're an adult, like from 20 years old on, you will experience 21,000 sunrises. And it's so 21,900. I just did the math. And it's so crazy that so many people can only point to a handful of meaningful sunrises that they set and connected with, when meanwhile the sun is like so steady doing its job. And it's not, apparently we got 10 billion years left with this particular ball of gas.
There you go.
but you know, we're only around for a few, 21,000 days. Like, so now that I know that, I'm like, I'm gonna enjoy more of these.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, don't tempt me with a good time. Do not. And when you put it into perspective, like you have to hear it with your own ears. You only get 21,000 of these, right? What are you what are you so sorry.
It's okay.
What are you really stressing out about, when it comes down to whatever? And yeah, there is time for stress, but 21,000 of whatever, of sunrises, sunset, 21,000 days. 21,000 sunrises and sunsets. And then here you are, and enjoy some of those. You don't have to see all of them, but here's your piece.
Maybe once a week, once a month.
Man.
Yeah.
Man.
Because even if you live all those days, things happen. You might not be able to look at the sun or whatever. So now we're talking about gratitude, which is important. Neuroscience has proved it.
Don't get me started.
Yeah. We need to stop.
We need to stop. Because obviously I just got a really big package. And
exciting.
It might be a package of coal from Santa. You never know. I don't know.
But be early for him.
I don't know. From what I hear, he works a lot.
Yeah. He works too much. If anyone should be watching this, it's Santa.
Yeah. Listen, as always, I really, really appreciate you taking time. And I know I told you this before. I said, look, I'm not going to keep you online a long time. And I lied. Um, but you are really super amazing. I love what you're doing in your practice. And thank you for sharing yourself and all the good tips and just talking, because this is really amazing. And I think that a lot of the folks, especially the tech people, no, some people aren't going to admit it, but look, sometimes we don't really think about, hey, I've been sitting here for a long, long time, or I've been in the same position for a long, long time, and I need to get up and move, or just move in my chair, or whatever the situation may be. Or if you are a stylist and you've been standing in the same position for a very long time, scissors in hand, clippers in hand, brush in hand. Yeah.
Head down, probably.
Head down. That tender piece start hurting. Yeah, you got to move around. And sometimes you need different scents, and you need to be touched, and you need, even if it's just yourself, you might need, I'm no doctor, you're no doctor, but sometimes you need a little something to get you going.
Yeah.
And these tools are amazing, and this is what you do for a living. So I appreciate you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And to Lovely in the comments, yes.
Oh, you got an eagle eye.
Oh, it's Eli?
No, I said you have an eagle eye. I didn't see the comments. Go ahead.
Yes, I do. Lovely is asking me if I teach during the week, and saying that they're interested in more yoga moves for our elderly folks, our elders. And yeah, I do. You can find me on my website, easiest. Or just email me.
Yeah.
Niki Morrissette at gmail.com.
There you go. And you can create time on the website.
Exactly.
And you're on LinkedIn. So
yes, I forgot I can get messages there. I'm new to LinkedIn. It's not been a big
to the studio out in California. So yeah, Niki, you've been on LinkedIn for a while.
Yeah, but I'm from the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
And
you guys don't really do LinkedIn like that.
No, we don't. But I'm learning, and I've been on, but I've building up my presence here is something I'm doing more.
Yeah, which is cool. But I know you guys don't really do like the whole LinkedIn thing. So, which a lot of the entertainment people don't. But I see that it's starting to become more prevalent with you guys. So
yeah.
But that's cool. Look, I'm just so happy to know you. So, and to glean these tools. So, anywho, I appreciate you, and thank you for the cool tips. And I'll see you next week, same time. I haven't scared you yet.
No, you haven't, and I think so. I think we'll have more time integrity for our viewers. More discipline in our talking.
We will have more discipline.
It's my fault completely, not you.
No, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much for hanging out.
Thank you.
All right.